Hi, good morning. I'm Mr. Norman, and I am a fifth year special education teacher at San Marcos High School. And this is my classroom. This year I'm teaching 9th and 10th grade history again. These are students that are partially mainstream throughout the day. Many of them will have regular classes, for math, certainly their electives, but students that have had difficulty reading and some processing delays, certainly some attention deficit and hyperactivity. They'll find themselves in my history class for 9th or 10th grade. In terms of instructional levels, we have readers. The biggest challenge that we have is we have students that are at all reading levels. I'll have 10th grade readers and I'll have 2nd grade readers and kind of everything in between. So, we have to do a lot of modification in the classroom and present material in several different ways, textual, visual, tactile as much as possible. So we're constantly looking for ways to provide access to information for students. One of the ways we do that too is through technology. So we're utilizing a cart from the school district. We have 27 what we would call Chromebooks, small computers, and students have access to these almost daily. I share this cart with another teacher, so we've worked out a pretty good schedule in terms of sharing, sharing the technology. What I like about using the computers is rather than relying on a small text resource or a workbook, the internet opens up just a wide spectrum of information on history that otherwise wouldn't be available to students. So students can find anything from a master's thesis on technology, or rather on history, to a YouTube video and everything in between. So it kind of, I believe that it kind of levels the playing field for students, and that's how I try and use it. So students have an electronic binder using Google Drive and Google Docs. I started using that about a year and a half ago with, I think, great success, and students are enjoying that. They also have we call them their old-fashioned binders. We started with basically hard copy materials within their binder, and I think I can probably show you what the hard copy looks like. So each period has a color, so that I can tell and they can tell which binder is theirs. Students have their names on their binders, and so I've set up these binders for them, or they've set them up along with my guidance. So they have their materials, highlighters, pens, sticky notes. They have their workbook, and then all the assignments that we have created are kind of color-coded to allow for organization. So they have a series of 5 or 6 different assignments in here, or activities. They have vocabulary bubble maps. They have guided lecture notes. They have their reading study guide and a series of other assignments. And these assignments are duplicated in their electronic binders as well. In terms of seating arrangements, as you can see, by my classroom, it's the seating arrangements I would describe as very, very flexible. I try and empower my students to allow them to sit with whomever they like, and I allow that to happen as long as they're able to be productive in that seat of choice. We do a lot of small group work, so I'll put 3 or 4 students together, and I try and mix that up quite a bit so that students are not always working with their friends. Hopefully throughout the semester they're able to work with different people that they're maybe not used to working with, and get to know one another better. The classroom, I'm a very active teacher in terms of moving around the classroom, so I think I have 25 desks in here. The biggest class I have is 23, the smallest class is 12. So it allows me, that smaller class size, although we don't have aides in the classroom, it allows me to kind of circulate and be in touch with students throughout the class period. It's a small class. I know some of our general ed classes are 40 plus, so we're lucky in that we have smaller classes, so there's really nowhere to hide in this classroom. Students that are not being productive or not working, you know, they're called out in a pretty direct manner pretty quickly. And so they're really required to be engaged in the material throughout. I post my standards a little bit differently than most teachers. I'll turn my computer on while that's warming up. When it's warmed up, I'll be able to show you how I post the standards. We're required to post those daily along with our success skills. And I do that using Google Drive and our projector. And I'm able to split the screen, so half my screen here will be the objective and the success skills. The other half would be whatever we might be working on. We can kind of toggle back and forth. So using the cloud, I have created a link that allows me very quickly to get into my standards. And let's see, this is the French Revolution standard here. So this will be on a PowerPoint that is it's revolving, so it's toggling through the basically these are the success skills. That's our agenda, the to-do list for today. And then we created a Wordle, kind of a word cloud to give students a look at some of the words that they're going to be in touch with during the lesson. So as I mentioned, I can split the screen. So if I wanted the objective there and something else, say that we were working, we're looking at a calendar or something, the point is we can look at two different things on the screen. So I like to keep this on the screen at all times so students know what their expectations are and what we're working on. Safety, you know, we do a lot of drills here at this school in the district, fire drills, evacuation drills, earthquake drills. We have blinds on the windows, so in the event that we have a shooter, teachers know that they're supposed to close those blinds. I would move all of my students back to this area of the room as much as possible, get them out of hopefully the line of sight. God forbid we ever had that kind of thing happen on campus. Luckily we haven't had any issues like that. Behavior management is very straightforward. Students are rewarded for good behavior and good work, and they're called out when their behavior or their classwork is unacceptable. Again, I think largely because of the small class size, I think that, and because I establish an expectation very early on in the school year, I think my students generally are pretty well behaved. I'm proud of the work that they do, and that's about it. Thank you.